Welcome to Nkwazi Magazine Table Talk. This is our opportunity to get to find out who the movers and shakers really are. We know for a fact that they've done incredible exploits, they have inspired us, they've shown us how to lead, but who are they really? We've interviewed lots of luminaries and incredible individuals, and today is no exception because we have on today's Table Talk none other than the Chief Executive Officer of Zamtel, and this is Mr. Jason Mwanza. Welcome to Table Talk.
Thank you. Thank you, Kamisa.
Let's get straight into it. We want to find out, who is Jason Mwanza? Tell us a little bit about who you are in terms of where you started out, your family background, and then we'll build up off of that.
Okay. I grew up on the Copperbelt. Yeah. The bigger part of it, although my parents, my dad especially, moved around mostly Copperbelt until about the later part of my teenage years, came to Lusaka.
Right.
But I think the formative years of my life, I was on the Copperbelt.
Where exactly
So
on the Copperbelt?
in Chingola. So I say it on the Copperbelt because we moved Chingola, Chililabombwe, Ndola, except for Kitwe, where I went and lived when now I started working. So practically I've lived in the whole part of the Copperbelt. So born from a family of 4 boys.
Right.
My dad was worked in then ironically a PTC.
So it's a family affair.
He worked in PTC. I joined when he left. Oh, the year he left, the year he retired, that's the year I joined.
So you basically, he passed the baton on to you.
Although he was on the post side.
Right.
So I joined Zamtel, but I look, because it's PTC. So
PTC.
For him, he worked in both companies. So all that movement was from one part of the post office to another.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Then we finally came to Lusaka in 1994. Yeah, when I was in grade 10 at the time. But why I'm a Copperbelt person? Because at that point I'd already gone in the seminary to be a priest.
Oh, this is getting interesting. So you went into the seminary and you were supposed to become a priest.
Yes, that's what I thought. So I was going to be a priest. So at that point I'd already gone into a minor seminary. I was at Mount Olivet Minor Seminary. Again on the Copperbelt in Mufulira. Right. So yes, my parents and family came here, so I used to just come from time to time. And because I was in the seminary, so every time we closed from the standard this education, we didn't have to go home. So I would come back home maybe after a year. Not the way our kids go to school and come back at mid-term. If they don't come for mid-term, they say they're very stressed. They've been in school for a long time. I went for 1 year, then I come back. So, yes, my brothers, 3 other brothers, and fast forward to today, I've got 3 sons. So, I sit in between 3 brothers and 3 sons. Wow. So I'm learning from my brothers and molding my sons.
Amazing,
yeah. So the education, part of it in the seminary.
Right.
Then when I went to after finishing grade 12, I went back for a year, again still pursuing being a priest. But then I made a choice at some point. I said, okay, I think as we chat, I'll explain what made me make that shift. Yeah. I went to university to do engineering. Then I finished my engineering. I worked for Zambia Bureau of Standards. I worked for NECO. Then I worked for what today is now part of MTN, but at the time was UUNet, which became MTN Business, which became MTN, which was just part of the MTN Enterprise.
Right.
Then I joined Zamtel. Then I've moved from operations to projects to business analysis
right.
to until today.
Right. I'm very curious. I'll take you back.
Yeah,
What triggered the change? Because that's quite a
big shift.
it's a massive shift. So from priesthood to engineering. What happened? What shifted the gears to a point where you said, nope, this isn't for me.
This isn't for
I'm
me.
going there.
I must say that I don't know what other people that ever went to the seminary and came out would say, but for me, I think it's the most peaceful place. I part of, maybe because I was young, but even as I just look at priests and the life they live, living for other people, I think it's a very noble, because priests don't have their own families.
Right.
They take care of the people in the parishes.
Yes.
And I felt like I would love to do this when I was younger. But along the way, I felt like, I think before we even started having this conversation, you mentioned something. It still was hinging more on carrying everyone along. I looked at my family and I said, I think I would inspire the younger generation in my family better if I went and did engineering.
Right.
I'm sure even priesthood, if God blessed me to become one, I would have been the first. But, and family, I mean my very close family, like my brothers, my uncles, my aunties from my dad's and my father's side. So I think because I had what it took at the time from my grade 12 results to get into engineering, I felt like this will actually, because look, who looks at the priest every day and say, I would want to be a priest?
Not many people.
Not many people, but if I see this not so clever Jason made it to engineering, I think like I can make it.
I like that.
So I made the choice between the two. I said, only my wife would testify this, because my wife today was my girlfriend from first year at university.
Okay.
My first girlfriend. So I used to tell her when we before we got here that I'm doing this because I want my younger brothers, my cousins, my what to do better.
Oh wow!
And I can say that after I went to university, all my brothers followed suit and did better.
So clearly, the seminary did something. The selflessness continued, and you wanted to be an example.
I wanted to be an example, and it's a little. It feels sometimes you feel inadequate. You feel like, am I worth as an example? But we keep on pushing and keep on doing, getting better at what you do, and try as much as possible not to have too many wrongs.
Right.
Because as human beings, we always find ourselves going opposite. And obviously, as I'm human, there are times that obviously I've done things that are not inspiring, but I make sure that the average is inspiring.
You said something very, very interesting when you talked about your grades. So would you say you were a gifted student, or have you had to work for everything you've attained?
I respect people who do things selflessly, or what is the right word? It comes naturally, effortlessly.
Right.
I guess I have a gift.
Okay.
But the bigger part of my life, I feel that I am deliberate. I know that if I let go, I would definitely get 20 points. But if I sit down, focus, and know that I'm going to, what I want to do is 1, 2, 3, 4, I get it done.
I like that.
Yeah.
So is that something that you've carried over into your adult life? Are you still a very driven individual?
Yeah.
When you set your eyes on a target, do you go for it 100%?
100%.
Okay.
That's what I want. Even as I work today, I want everyone I work with, I always give them this story, that when I was growing up, from grade 1 to grade 5, if people say, that's a guy we were with in class, some of them will say, how?
How did that happen?
How did that happen? But then you find that in grade 6 to maybe 7,
Right.
The ones I was with would say, oh yeah, he looked like he can do this. Oh, maybe grade 9, I don't know what they would say, but I know grade 12, 10 to 12, they would definitely say, we knew it.
They saw the drive.
We saw the drive. So what I'm trying to say is that I encourage people that human beings are dynamic.
Right.
So do not let the position that you're in today determine the rest of your life.
I like that.
Because you can be deliberate about it. There are younger kids out there, or even in our time, that did nothing. They didn't study. They played in the grounds and what, but they came back to class and they were the best.
Yes.
I'm not that guy.
Okay.
No, I'm not that guy. I'm that guy that covered the books and wrote the notes,
diligently,
did the assignments.
Yes.
Yeah, knew where we were at every point, and that's how you make sure that you get what you are looking for.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not that one without a notebook, but using common sense and you find you are the best. No. Yeah.
So you mentioned that you made your way into Zamtel. And started to work, and you also mentioned that your dad worked for PTC. There's a whole generation that doesn't know what PTC is. Just for purposes of clarity, Post and Telecommunications Corporation. That was the front runner of Zampost and Zamtel when they were split. So when you first joined Zamtel, what position did you hold?
I was, you know why it's difficult to say this, because I'm the CEO now. So when I say what happened to me when I joined Zamtel, it creates pressure on what I should do to the younger ones that are coming. Because at the time I joined Zamtel, I had found, I must say that the time we joined, people were not leaving the country that much.
Right.
There was a bit of stability, but I think engineers, teachers, and what moved out of the country a lot to Botswana, to Zimbabwe, to what. So in Zamtel, they had created what they called a retention program.
Right.
So any engineer from university who joins Zamtel, they put us on a development program.
Right.
And after that development program, continuous learning for 6 months, we visited all the parts of Zamtel. We went to the college to be trained.
Right.
And then after you're trained, immediately you become what they used to call a section engineer. If you meet the criteria, you are confirmed.
Right.
This was in 2004, by the way. So I've been in Zamtel for like 20 years.
21 this year.
This year, June, I'll be 21. So immediately after 6 months, they make you section engineer. And section engineer is like an entry-level manager.
Right.
So they trained us. We got trained. We benefited from the ones that were leaving the country at the time. There's a good and bad in what that did to us.
Right.
Because I think that the first 5 years to 10 years of your career, you should be hands-on. It's not right to make a young person after 6 months to be in a managerial position.
Agreed.
So you know what that meant? It meant that it was about your choice to make sure you're hands-on.
Correct.
So if you are not careful, you can be an engineer quickly and just be administrative.
That's it.
And what that meant when Zamtel was privatized.
Yes.
And then now they wanted engineers hands-on, because you are called an engineer. And how long have you been in the company? 6 years. So you should be a very solid engineer.
The idea is you needed to know how everything works.
How it works.
Yes.
So then if you have been an administrator, you did not last.
Oh, my goodness.
We were all retrenched in 2009, or 2010, and then went to the public together with ourselves to re-employ people. We were 3,000 before the privatization, and when Zamtel was privatized, we were reduced to 300. 300 from the people who were in Zamtel. Then 400 about came from outside. So the total establishment became 700, from 3,000 to 700.
My goodness.
So you had to earn your number.
You had to carry your load.
Yeah, so that's why we will, as we go forward, we will balance between making people feel as good as I felt when I joined Zamtel, then 6 months
Right.
but also safeguarding their future.
Correct.
Because the future is changing every day. You're an engineer, I would rather you are an engineer for some time.
Right.
And so that we can know actually who ends up being a manager, who ends up being a specialist.
That's it.
This is one other thing that we are doing in Zamtel.
Right.
I want to make, not everyone should want to be a manager, especially among engineers. Some engineers are very good engineers at making them managers. You actually lose out as a business. Because then they go and sit behind, in front, not
That's
behind the machine.
That's it.
And then you start looking for talent. But you had people that were taking care of the network perfectly, but you made them managers. So we need to make sure that people not only look forward to become managers, but to grow. And growing doesn't mean manager. You can grow as a solid engineer, as an expert, and get exactly what you want to get out of life.
So if I hear you correctly, you follow the philosophy of making a person thrive where they're planted, in a space where they really enjoy what they're doing and they're passionate about it, and they give 101% because that's where they want to be. And what else guides your leadership style? I know it's a very large organization, and it can't be easy, but what is the fundamental guiding principle of your leadership style?
It's situational, but I can go into the theoretical part of leadership, which would not really communicate very well with obviously the audience and the people that I would want to carry along. But what I would say is that the easy way to manage this any size of an organization is make sure that your vision is very clear. Your vision is clear. The objectives are drawn from the vision.
Right.
And the objectives are very, very clear that this is what the technical people should do, this is what the commercial people should do, finance should do this, marketing should do this.
Right.
Then when that is clear, it's very easy because each one of those facets, like I've mentioned, is an organization on its own. Marketing, as a director marketing. Technical as a chief technical officer. So if technical knows how they feed into the vision, the burden is lighter because it's not me to go and make the technical people do what they need to do. There's a person in between me and the technical team who runs that technical team as his own. But what is important is that he should know what his objectives, how his objectives feed into the bigger vision of where we are going. So communication, as I say this, it means that communication should be on point. So people should know what is expected of them at any point. And just to come to me, I do things, I try as much as possible to make people feel that they're in the safe place by knowing that you are objective.
Right.
We make sure we are decisive. We make sure when you do a good thing, we give a pat on your back in front of everyone.
Right.
When we identify a young person that seems to be doing very well, we make sure they know that we know that they are doing well.
Right.
When we identify a person who's going in the wrong direction, we make sure they know that we know they are going in the wrong direction. Give them time to remind them that we are going in the wrong direction. If they continue in the wrong direction, we make sure we separate. So by balancing between a pat on the back and only disciplining the people who need to be disciplined, the rest of the people know that they are safe. As long as I'm doing the right thing, then I'm safe. So they pay attention to what you want. So if your communication is clear, and they know that when they do what you're looking for, we are all happy.
That's it.
So that's more of my approach to leadership.
So effectively, you wish to see every member of the team interpret what they're doing into the bigger picture, the bigger objectives of the corporation.
And I want to add that I allow people to make a mistake. And I always want that to be the culture.
Right.
Make the mistake, because when I tell you that make the mistake, be able to explain the mistake.
Right. Right.
Only then we'll know that the best thing is this one.
Okay.
Because if people feel that if I make a mistake here, I'm gone, then you will not get their abilities.
Right.
Because what they are capable of doing, some of the things along the way will be wrong things. What I tell people around me is that don't be afraid to make a mistake.
Right.
Be more afraid not to do what you're supposed to do.
There we go. So
Because
you effectively will tolerate a person whose intentions are good,
yes,
but they make a mistake, as
Yes.
opposed to inertia and saying, no, I'm afraid of making a mistake, so I'm not going to do anything at all.
you try to be safe. I don't want.
So you don't want any safe people on the team.
To be to play it safe. Let's go. Let's do what we want to do. And I always want to tell them to be prepared to be told that this was a mistake.
So we can safely say management style is all or nothing. To just give it everything.
Give it everything.
Okay.
Give it everything. You don't have to worry because we will check their motive all the time. If you don't mind, I can take you back to where I come from.
Please, by all means.
You see, I said where my father worked. My mother was a housewife.
Right.
With very minimal, no education at all. But I think from my experience, she said, my children will go will be educated.
Wow.
All my children will be educated. They won't be like me. But because she was not educated, I'm sure she didn't know how to do it.
Exactly.
But she had the passion,
right,
and the target.
Yes.
And she did just that. But why am I saying this? This is my principle. I say this every day. If you mean well, you can do it. It wasn't nice. It wasn't rosy.
No.
My mother achieving that wasn't rosy.
No.
I don't want to go into it, but
I can see
and you can tell my age. I haven't said it yet, but I'm not young, so the culture of our parents.
Yes.
But now with that passion, also you can extrapolate the rest.
100%.
100%.
I can see the flashback as you say that. So
when I see that, people say the most difficult roadblock.
Yes.
Where the parent with the
whip, the shambok, waiting patiently.
I said that was a roadblock every night. But what I'm saying is that if you mean well and you have a target, my belief is that you get to where you want to get to. So I tell my people, I'll make mistakes as we go, but believe me, I mean well, and I want to turn around Zamtel.
That's it.
So as we make mistakes, just know that we will not have, as an individual, it's not personal. It's we'll have to turn around Zamtel. So we will do it together, like the example I gave.
With the amount of time that you've spent in Zamtel, what would you say has been the change in your personal and professional goals? Have they basically remained the same and then just been scaled up with the change in roles until you're literally at the helm of it? Or have they really changed since your appointment?
At some point, from the time I was senior manager, like assistant director, for example, around the time of Lap Green,
right,
I did not feel as much as I used to feel from when I was a young engineer.
Right.
Like I want to be a director tomorrow, I would want to be a CEO. I think as a young person, you are an engineer, you want to work hard. Remember I said we want those streams. I was a relatively good engineer, but I still felt like I would want, remember where I'm coming from.
Yes.
I like inspiring people. I like making a difference in people's lives. So being a specialist engineer behind the scenes and behind the machines, expert, is not what I envisioned. Obviously, is to grow into helping someone to grow as well. So when I was a young engineer, yes, I worked hard and looked forward to the next position. But I must say that when I reached a position of like assistant director, I felt like it's the only point that I felt like, okay, it's enough to
Yes.
have reached somewhere.
Yes.
If I ended here in life, I would say I was successful. Like I grew to a position, and I was in charge of planning the whole country for Zamtel. At one point, I was in charge of operations, 135 people below you.
Right.
So if you can't inspire 135 people, then you won't inspire anyone. So I felt like I've been gifted. I left priesthood to come and do engineering, and now I've reached a point where I'm looking at the lives of 135 at a time. I need to do it well. I need to, when tomorrow my time is up, I would say I contributed something. So the rest that followed, and I guess there's power in letting go, right?
Right.
For taking to senior manager was quite stressful, working hard and what, but getting to where I've gotten from that position to here is more on focusing on your development.
Right. Right.
It doesn't matter who's the director next. And how it happens, I must say, I think Christians would explain it better.
Right.
But with time, I can explain it even just from the, even if you're an atheist, I can tell you nature and the universe has a way of giving you what you're looking for as long as you prepare for it.
Be ready. Yeah.
So it's not always the goal. It's especially in personal growth.
Right.
It's more of developing the inside.
Right.
Then God, now the invisible hand. I want to say the invisible hand to cater for the atheists.
Yes.
The invisible hand now will take you places.
Right.
What you need to focus on so much is yourself. If you are ready, if you continuous developing yourself, the rest follow. The day I was appointed CEO of Zamtel, I was on my way to the Copperbelt. I'd gotten leave to go on a Friday to come back on a Thursday, on a Tuesday, because I wanted to take Friday because my boys were participating in some national event.
Right.
Absolutely unexpected. Then I was called by the board and said, "We want you to try." I was to act.
Oh, okay.
Not I wasn't appointed to act while we look for the best candidate. So that's the invisible hand I'm talking about. I was there to sit in while they look for the best candidate.
Right.
But I told myself that the position of the CEO is not acting.
No.
I am acting.
Right.
So the period I'm acting and the time that the board and shareholders are looking for someone, remember they said they are going to look for the suitable candidate.
That's it.
So I might as well show them that I'm the suitable
candidate. Right.
So, but the opportunity to show them that I'm a suitable candidate came as manna from heaven. But why manna from heaven? That's why I'm talking about the way the invisible hand puts you where you're supposed to be.
Right.
Because it's not us, that it's not about your goals and attaining them. It's about developing yourself, of course, having intentions of what you would want to do, but the rest is determined by the invisible hand.
Wonderful. And you mentioned success. What is your definition of success? And if I could just ask for a straightforward and candid response, when did you start to feel successful?
This is more like a psychometric question now.
You're being interviewed all over again.
All over again. So, you know why I say it's a psychometric question? It's because if you ask me just straight that, what's your definition of success? I would say, it's a very complex question. I don't think it exists. But then I remembered that at some point I said that when I became senior manager, I felt successful.
Settled. Yes.
Yes. So maybe what I would say is I felt fulfilled. Maybe success is the wrong word. Success is difficult to define because every moment you attain, maybe milestones, every moment you attain anything that, the day I was appointed CEO, immediately Zamtel became my mountain.
Yes.
So, and when I look I can't see the top, I can't see the sides. It's right in front of me.
Yes.
So if you are looking from outside, you would feel that, oh, that's success. But for me, now
Brand new challenge.
Now it's I'm not seeing anything about the fact that now I'm the highest in this organization. Now my point is, I look back, I find 378 lives.
The number has changed.
The human beings that work in Zamtel, if this thing doesn't work, I'm affecting 378 people in Zamtel. Then when I look carefully in this mountain, there's debt.
Yes.
There is assets that are not being sweated.
Right.
And then there is productivity of the same people. Then we're looking at the revenues are not enough to settle that debt. So instead of feeling successful, now we go and say, okay, gentlemen, what do we do?
Yes.
We've been given a mandate. We are sitting in together because I'm sitting in,
Yes.
everybody else
Everybody's
is
sitting in.
sitting in. So we are sitting in and we need to turn around this business. So then we start looking at all these things I've mentioned are real problems that I found in Zamtel. And when I say I found after being so long in Zamtel, I'll tell you the truth. When you are technical, when you are a technical person, when I'm in charge of technical, my worry is availability.
That's
My
it.
worry is the quality of the data. My worry, I know that we are negative equity. By the way, I would say that I'm not an expert in finance and all, but I've done an MBA, I've done my master's in telecoms. I thank the people who moved me from technical at some point and went into corporate planning for about 2 years, and I was doing business analysis. So that gives me a layer of understanding of the business. So, but despite all that background, at the time I was in charge of technical, I worried about technical.
Right.
When I go to sleep, I wake up at night thinking about power solutions. What? Not the business. So the day I took over, now you're acting. Then now all this negative equity now is right in front of me.
It becomes your reality.
It becomes my reality. Then we came up with a turnaround plan, which is looking at productivity of the people.
Right.
Liquidity. We need to improve our we called it market expansion, our revenues.
Right.
We need to look at our assets. Our assets are, we have all assets, 233 brick and mortar, land and building around the country. We have sites, so we have assets, some of them misplaced, and then we think through and said, okay, how do we get value from these assets?
Right.
Then how do we make our people productive? So that's what now we are looking at. Now it overshadows every little ounce of success that you would think that, oh, now I'm CEO, I'm successful. No, then I feel like I'll be successful when I finish the program.
Right.
But maybe I'll take this opportunity to just tell you that, remember I said we came up with the 4 pillars?
Yes.
And we're looking at all those, the 4 pillars I'm talking about: market expansion,
Right.
Debt management, asset rationalization, and culture change. Want to build a high performance team. So in all this, culture change is continuous. The revenues have grown, not exactly where we should be, but we are nowhere close to where we were when we started this journey.
Right.
But what we've done exceptionally well is debt management. I'll tell you that in the time that we've been addressing this issue, we've paid debt with Zambia Revenue Authority that was pending since 2012. And that's 1.2 billion kwacha.
Oh.
And how did we find 1.2 billion kwacha? We didn't go to the government with a begging bowl, but I thank the current secretary to the Treasury, very, very, visionary.
Right. Right.
We sat together. I went to present to him when I came up with a turnaround plan.
Right.
I presented to all stakeholders.
Having talked about the successes that have been scored so far. Since you became CEO, what are some of the successes you can highlight to us? And I think before you answer that, we've got some drinks.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. It's a very colorful
Thank you.
drink.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please feel free to sip on that. We've been doing quite a
Yeah.
bit of talking.
No, success questions are very difficult, you know. So
Indeed.
this was a very good distraction.
Well-deserved drink.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers. Okay, so our successes haven't been done on our own, by the way. And as you know, no one can succeed alone. We have made quite substantial movement on Zamtel. We are not exactly where we want to be,
Right.
but we've made strides to take Zamtel to another level.
Right.
And this has not happened without support from stakeholders. I think IDC, management, we interact very closely with a portfolio from the IDC side,
Right.
and mainly portfolio and CFO. So these two gentlemen, they are very supportive, plus the CEO. Again, you remember what I said earlier, that my style of leadership and how we able to run a complex organization as Zamtel is clear vision,
Yes.
clear objectives, and communication.
Yes.
That's exactly what IDC currently is doing. We know exactly what they want. We interact. They don't run Zamtel, but they are very supportive. They know what's happening, and they are giving you direction and feedback. So we meet only. We write monthly reports, for example. We do quarterly reports, but we have major reviews of setting the target for the year and half yearly. And so in short, they've been very, very supportive. So because of that clear direction and clear expectation makes it easy for us to operate. But then what does it translate to? Because the question is success. So because of that, plus remember, I think earlier I talked about when I took over, I saw all this mountain ahead of me.
Yes.
So we came up, the same mountain are the solutions, by the way. So if you say debt, we need to manage the debt, that's the solution to Zamtel's problem.
Right.
If assets are not sweated to the level that they should, then we need to sweat the assets. So that's where the asset rationalization. When people are not being so productive, we need to make people productive.
Right.
Revenues are not where they're supposed to be. We need to grow the market. So those are the four areas that we came up with. But then, as I think I mentioned what we've done with the revenues, what we've done with the people is continuous. What we did significantly in 2024 especially, because I was now finally confirmed as CEO of Zamtel on 1st March last year.
Right.
So almost because I was acting in the beginning in Q1, but obviously I was given the real mandate in 1st March 2024.
Right.
What did we do now? We got our turnaround plan.
Right.
We took it to all stakeholders.
Right.
Stakeholders are the IDC itself, the board.
Yes.
I must say that board also very supportive. I have, look, it's the first board I'm reporting to as a CEO, but I've reported to a lot of boards.
Right.
So I must say that the current board that we have, of course, I have no option, but not because I have no option to say that it's the best board, but it's indeed a very good board. By all means. When I'm having an end-of-year party, they come, we dance together.
Brilliant.
When we are in the board, they go under your skin.
Yes.
So you know what I mean by being the good board. So
they keep you in check.
They keep me in check, but they're also human.
That's it.
And so very, very supportive.
Right.
We explained to the board what we are going to do with those four pillars. We went round to stakeholders. We met Secretary to Treasury.
Right.
We met Secretary to Cabinet.
Right.
We met PS,
Right.
because we belong to the Ministry of Technology, so
That's right.
because they are in charge of the industry, so we wanted to tell them what we are doing in this
Right.
area.
Right.
We went to the Minister of Technology and Science, Mr. Honorable Mutati.
Right.
Minister Honorable Mutati. We explained all this. So from all those interactions, we met the Secretary of Treasury,
Right.
who, from the presentation, we promised that we are not going to come to the government with a begging bowl,
Right.
but we are going to come to government as a business. We are not going to, we will support government. Zamtel has two agendas,
Right.
as a commercial business, but also to help government take communication to the rest of the country.
Right.
So we need to define very clearly how we play in those two mandates,
Right.
so that we are a commercial business, a commercial entity. So what we did, went to Secretary of Treasury, all the sites that we are managing on behalf of government, we won't manage them for you for free, because we are providing a service.
Right. Right.
So we've been servicing these sites since 2019, and for free. But we spent 28 million kwacha to manage the rural sites.
Oh.
So we did the calculation and showed the ST that this is how much we are making. This is how much we are spending to manage the rural sites.
Right. Right.
The visionary part comes from pushing an open door.
Right.
He sees things for what they are.
Yes.
So he looks at our proposal, he said, perfect. You are going to run the business as a business.
Right.
So how much do we owe you? Then we calculate how much government owes us. Because we've been spending 28 million kwacha per month. And we are...
Serious revenue.
You see? So then this ST says, no, you are right. This is how much I owe you.
Right.
And we got auditors to go and confirm. This is not just going to government and
Not
say,
a thumb suck and some estimation.
Auditors from internal audit from the Ministry of Finance went around the country and came back and said, okay, actually there is 100 million more that you didn't calculate properly because of this and that and that.
Right.
Because they did an independent assessment.
Right.
And because of that, we remember the asset rationalization aspect.
Yes.
We are getting value from the assets that we have.
Okay.
And then we are also addressing debt, so we are paying the debt to ZRA.
Yes.
And when you pay debt, you know what happens to the, we are reducing our liabilities.
Correct.
And we are getting value from our assets.
That's it.
So that in itself changes the equity position, the value for the shareholders of the business. And that 1.2 billion coming in, it's revenue.
Yes.
It changes the bottom line as well. So we are we've right now 2024 is closing as Zamtel, the major success, positive equity, positive bottom line.
Oh, wow.
Our job in 2025 is to build the network,
Right.
be more aggressive,
Right.
and make sure that month on month we are breaking even, so that we don't erode that profitable position we've created and the equity position we've created through debt restructuring, through asset rationalization. So that's our focus this year. The small, but very minor, you know, every company has a HQ.
Yes.
We took over Zamtel. I did not do this. We did it together. Asset rationalization, again, we have 233 buildings. But all of them looking like Zamtel. You've seen now, you know.
Yes, yes.
So we want, it's part of also changing the image.
Right.
So what do? We said, where we're sitting at Zamtel House, our partner, the biggest partner we have is Infratel.
Right.
Infratel is renting. We owe Infratel because of that 28 million.
That's it.
We are making
That's it.
cost which we don't get much value out of it.
Yes.
So we end up not paying Infratel there because they're the ones where we co-locate. So we just balance the equation. Infratel, come and sit at Zamtel House. That's small, the smaller Zamtel House, because we have a bigger Zamtel House.
Much bigger one, yes.
So we said, come and sit at Zamtel House. This is the value of Zamtel House. When it's going to Infratel, in the books, because it was at 28 million kwacha's value, we revalue the building because we're about to sell it.
That's right.
100 million, because it was last evaluated in 2018, 2017. So when we are revaluing it today, it's moving from 28 million kwacha to 100 million kwacha. Then we sell it at a price, because these are values I'm talking about.
That's right.
So we make profit from the disposal, we make money from that sale,
Yes.
and go and finish a building that was under construction for 7 years. We take it up and finish it completely. And why are we doing that? Is not to be superfluous. We want people to change the mindset. We want people to be in one place. So we have, in essence, 7-story building. We have in what we are calling Zamtel Park. We have 3-story building and 4-story building. So the all Zamtel employees that work in Lusaka now are placed in one place. So easy to communicate, easy to interact, easy to drive the change that we want to drive.
Right.
So we are using the same things that we have to transform the business. And that's what we are doing going forward. I don't want to share more on what we are going to do in 2025. We've shared with our board, we shared with our stakeholders,
Right.
but we are in a competitive environment. We had 2 competitors, we have 3 now.
Yes, yes.
So, but look out, we are on a path to bringing what customers are looking for. And of course, it's good data right now. It's good quality of voice, good quality of data, plus value-added services, digital services. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing in 2025.
You've actually preempted my next question, which is, you're in an extremely competitive environment.
Yeah.
It's always evolving, always changing. In literally 10 years, what was once cutting-edge technology is obsolete. It's no longer fashionable to have a dial-up modem. You won't even find that's a museum piece now.
Yes.
But how are you coping? And I say this from the context of a lot of people hear parastatal and the stigma associated with that.
No.
But how are you remaining a competitive business in such a truly, truly cutthroat industry?
Okay. We will not blow our trumpet too much, but we will say that in the last 1 year, about 1 year, 6 months, we've moved our revenue, our customer market share from 17 to 20%, to 20.5 to be specific.
That's impressive.
So we are running a campaign called Come Home, because some people have been with Zamtel before.
Yes.
In one or another, they left. We want to take that responsibility that we caused them to leave. So we are redefining what products we are going to give to the people, and ask them to come back and try.
Right.
So how do we do it? Everything I've explained about changing the environment.
Yes.
Changing the mindset of the people, that the inside. Changing the outlook of when you see Zamtel, what you see a Zamtel place and say, this is, there's a brand here where we are seated, when we see this, we know, we don't have to know what's going on inside there. We know there's excellence.
Correct.
So that's what we want to do to Zamtel right now. The actual activities that we are, number one, I think, is mindset change.
Yes.
And not by the people outside, by the people in Zamtel. Because why I always say this, it's very easy. We can easily, sometimes we are tempted to say, oh, Zambians don't like local things. Zambians want foreign. They love when they're associated with foreign. Foreign means civilized. That's not the case.
No.
It's not the case. If you are sincere, you would know that a guy of my age knew that when I was 10, we listened to foreign music. All foreign.
Yes.
All parties was foreign music. But our Zambian artists transformed themselves. I remember from Chivawa.
Yes. Daddy Zimas.
Yes. From that point coming to where we are now, it's unbelievable. I don't want to mention the specific artists because others won't like it.
No, but clearly you were there when the Renaissance happened.
Yes. So today you don't have to look. You can't force me to listen to Zambian music if it's not nice.
Exactly.
Make it nice. I will enjoy it.
That's it.
And that's how it's going to be listened to by everybody. So with us right now, we are focusing on ourselves.
Yes.
We need to make sure that we transform, we make Zamtel service the best.
Right.
People will enjoy it. Our job is to take it to them, to make sure, and that's another one that we are changing. If you say parastatal,
Right.
I think where we're coming from, we were a monopoly. We were running phones and no one else did.
Exactly.
So that if you don't transform, you might be used to sitting waiting for the customer to come.
Right.
But that we are being deliberate to change that. We don't wait for the customer, we go to the customer. So all these can be well said statements or wishful thinking, but you are going to see what, I guess you've seen a bit.
The transformation is evident. It is evident.
But we don't want you to ask. We want you to see it and know. The same way I've said, if you look at this place, you can know that the person behind this, his values, excellence should be one of them.
Yes.
So that's what we want to do. We want, when you see from a Zamtel van to a Zamtel employee,
yes,
if you meet them in any place where it's not Zamtel, you can associate them with hard work, transformational,
that's right,
and those everything else that we believe in.
Yep. You mentioned this place, and it's worth highlighting because people can't really see where we are. We are at Ciela Resort, and we're at the poolside bar, and it is simply magnificent. It does give a very relaxed ambiance, and to your point, excellence all around, and a very fitting venue for our conversation.
Yeah.
Now, you have repeatedly highlighted that you have not succeeded on your own.
Yeah.
Are there any mentors that you can highlight that have been influential and key in your walk and your transition from technical into managerial, and even any mentors that you have even to this day?
Okay. I don't have that structured mentors that we sit down and say they are the mentee. But I must say that I definitely am very observant. Right. There are a lot of people that I pay attention to.
Right.
And I say, when I said I believe in setting a very clear vision and communicating the message, communication. So to me, communication is very important. Right. I'll tell you that some people in the past, that when I sat and listened to them, I feel like this is how things should be. For example, how do I say this? I'm trying to put it together. It's not advertising a particular individual, or right. Not. And the image and everything else.
Yeah, if they're good, they're good.
They are good. They are good. I like the way. Maybe the current governor wouldn't talk about him now, because now I'm a bit enlightened, so right. I understand the economy better. So, but the one that struck me more is Dr. Fundanga.
Right.
When there's an issue at the time that I knew nothing about economy. But when he sits to explain what's going on, I feel that this man, even a marketeer in the market, right. can follow this interpretation.
Right.
So
right.
I've always I've learned something from that. I make my explanations very simple. I try, when I want to explain to someone what 5G is,
right.
I want to explain it in a way that a layman can fall and say, oh, okay,
it'll make sense.
That's why 5G is better than 4G.
Right.
That's somewhere one I've learned from. But also to be very frank, and I think you mentioned at one point of being selfless and calling things for what they are. To be frank with you, the person who took me to another level of engineering is the former CEO of Zamtel.
Is that so?
Yes. Sid Mpeta came into Zamtel, and he was coming from a very solid engineering background,
Right.
from Ericsson. So, and then again, I would say that there's also another aspect. It taught me how to believe in the people within. This gentleman joined Zamtel. He was the CTO at the time. I was senior manager. I was acting CTO. I handed over back to him,
Right.
and he gave me a chance to prove myself. So when I took over, even wherever I go, why am I talking about him now? You asked me about mentors.
Yes.
He gave me, because he came from Ericsson. He joined Zamtel.
Right.
And then me, I was in Zamtel 9 years. He did not define me because we've been in Zamtel for 9 years. So without thinking, out.
Right.
He gave me a chance to prove myself. So because of that, I've learned to give chance to other people. I want to give you a chance.
Right.
I always, when I take over any position, I tell people that you will tell me whether you want to be with me or not. I will not be the one to say I don't want you.
Right.
Because I've gone through time, even from Lapogreen. Another person I would talk about is Hans Posen.
Right.
Those are the people that when I'm doing what I'm doing today,
Yes.
I can refer to them.
Right.
From the soundness, and they're human beings, so they
Yes.
have their own weaknesses. I can't follow them blindly. So I like observing. I would
Yes.
rather not them tell me, because people usually say what they are not.
That's right.
So Hans Posen, I learned something from him. Sydney has his own ways of doing things, the thoroughness.
Right.
This is not an interview to analyze him, but the thorough part,
Detail,
let me
detail,
focus
detail.
on his strength. Detail. Would sit in the room to want to come up with a solution to the problem from 8 hours in the morning to 1 a.m. in the,
Oh, wow.
because we are changing iterations. By the
Yes.
time we're done, we have developed the flow charts, the flow process, So after that, I've learned thorough. I've learned from Fundanga to be as simple as possible. You don't have to show people that you have so many jargons.
No, it's not the time or the place.
It's not the time of the place. Yeah, I've learned from Hans Posen to call a spade a spade. And thoroughness as well. Sometimes right now I'm CEO of Zamtel. If I never experienced this gentleman, maybe I would never walk around and go and want to know why the flower bed is not symmetrical to the other
Why is it
flower
skewed?
bed.
Why is it?
Why? But when Hans Posen was running Zamtel, I would be very thorough, very strict, very clear with where we need to go.
Yes.
But you come out of the office, come down and say, okay, move this to here, it makes you connect with the place.
Yeah.
So those are some of the people that I can say that, of course, a lot more, a lot more.
Right.
My mother, one of them.
Wonderful.
Yeah. My mother has been a source of inspiration.
I hear you.
A source of inspiration.
Yeah.
My dad, very aggressive. So,
amazing.
Yeah, when things are not working,
We've depleted serious blood sugar. You've been answering questions.
Thank you.
It's time to replenish some much needed blood sugar. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So,
Bon
Kamiza.
appetit.
Oh, merci. Kamiza, to answer your question, I don't have the structured ones.
Right.
But I have people that I refer to without them knowing, from one situation to another.
Right.
When we seated in Exco and things don't look so clear, I have energy to say, let's keep probing. We'll find the answer, because I've seen it being done before by someone.
Right.
When there is something to explain to people, we make it simple as possible so that you can tell that we are communicating. When things don't look very clear, my father I said that we moved from one town to another.
Always on the move.
Quite. So when we go to a new town, then you say you are going to this school. Then people around say, no, this school is very difficult. You can't get people there. Before he could get an acceptance, he would buy uniforms. said, you are going
You're going to this school. This is where you're going.
This is where you're going. And you will end up going there.
Yes.
So when I'm facing anything of that sort today, I tap into his belief.
That's it.
And say, I'll do it the way my dad did it.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
your role is extremely high pressure as CEO. It goes without saying. What are some of your coping mechanisms? How do you handle the pressures? How do you maintain a work-life balance? Because we can clearly tell the passion is there for what you do, and you're fully invested. But how do you balance that with your life?
Okay, some of these things are done unconsciously, but I make sure that, look, I go to the gym. I'm not a fanatic, but from time to time I keep fit.
Right.
I play golf. I try to play once a week.
That's healthy.
Yeah, never twice, once a week.
Once a week.
If I jump a week, I feel like there's something wrong I did.
Something's missing.
Something is missing. So I'm a family man.
Right.
I'm a family man. I've got a lovely wife, almost virtuous.
Oh, wow.
I have to just put virtuous almost because she's a human being, but almost.
You've definitely earned brownie points with that.
Yeah, almost virtuous. Very grounded. Very, very grounded. So it helps me cope with everything. I think part of the things we've discussed, I didn't say that I did my master's in Sweden. I went there for 2 years.
Right.
And I left. I was married with one son, and because of a supportive nature and just the way we understand each other, I could go, and we just agreed where I'm going. There's no way I'm going to support you in any way. So we changed the lifestyle.
Right.
From now on, you take care of yourself. I take care of myself.
Wow.
And she knows. So, and you know this, here is the good part, where the supportive part comes in. Because of the nature of the systems those days,
right.
She actually used to get money from my account,
right.
A specific amount, to send to me for my monthly upkeep.
A stipend was coming through oh wow.
Through her. For every month, she would get the money from here, put it in this account. So that I can access it.
Right.
And because I know myself very well, I don't know about a lot of men, I use her to control my spending.
Same
boat. I don't have access to my money. She controls what I have access to.
You are a wise man.
So she would get what I need. And it balanced. I didn't have to find myself at some point stranded because my wife used the money we reserved for that program.
Right.
And she did it diligently. And I remember when we talk about it, she had to make a program. When it gets paid, she knows how much is for fuel, how much is for, and you go into ShopRite with, you have to buy this. If not this, then you're out of it. So all that, I think, makes me cope with anything that comes my way. God has blessed me with very good boys, very, very good boys. I think they take after the mother also. They are not so difficult to deal with.
And what are the ages?
It's 18,
right,
15, 9.
Wow, that's quite a spread.
Yeah, so they're very, very, very good. I said, maybe this I should mention, this is my first gift ever from my son. My son went for a swimming camp. So we gave him some money for upkeep. And then he used all that money to buy things for me and the mother and the brother.
That's impressive.
And the good part was I said, this was so thoughtful of you. I never expected it. This is my first gift ever from my son, using the money to buy for me. Wow. So then he said, he wrote me something he wrote to the mother said, so he wrote something very, very nice to see by a parent. He said, sending me to the camp was all I wanted.
Wow.
I didn't need any more from you. So the money you gave me, that's why I used it to buy things for you.
That's impressive.
So yeah,
Impressive.
all that, so I'm saying it's a continuous process.
Yes.
How do you cope with pressure? Today you're happy with such things.
Yes.
Tomorrow the revenues are not where you want them to be.
True.
The board wants this.
True.
Stakeholders want that. So together you are able to handle what life brings.
That's it.
Yeah. So it's not. It's very difficult to say I do 1, 2, 3 when I'm under pressure.
That's right.
When you're under pressure, just have a good support system. Then you go home, you find this. Everything under the drain. Don't be worried about.
Changes everything.
Everything. Yeah. So it's people around you. My brothers too, by the way. I have 3 brothers who were very close.
Right.
We quarrel. We do all
As
what
brothers do.
Brothers do, but they are very good people.
Right.
We are in each other's face. Sometimes brings stress, but it also brings a coping mechanism. I can't go 2, 3 months. I can't go 2 months without meeting them. And meeting them quite often, talking quite often, but we deliberate meeting. Let's meet here and have a chat.
Right.
We sit as a team. So that makes you feel to belong somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, outside of Zamtel, and this is basically our penultimate question. Outside of Zamtel, what projects excite you?
Projects.
Anything that you've got on the go that, if you're not at Zamtel, the one thing you're thinking about?
All the time.
Yes.
Okay. I was in one organization, in one meeting, then one CEO stood up and said everything that he does. When I was looking at him and said, oh, okay, so you can actually do that.
You're able to do that.
No, you can
Where do you get the time?
Yeah, so again, remember I said coping mechanism. I've got my older brother who was working in the mines. He's a project manager. He worked in Kenya, worked in Uganda, Sierra Leone. Then he came back to run his own things. So we agreed. When he was coming, he said, let's do this together.
Right.
So because my hands are full, my biggest project is Zamtel. So we are doing solar with my brother.
Right.
We're doing some projects in a lot of places, RIA inclusive. We're doing some general supplies. But mainly what excites me is the how can I say this? I'm lucky to have my older brother actually like the one I have. That I can sit at Zamtel and be the chairman of this one organization called it's Wangamiko Ventures, by the way. So my brother and myself, we are running it, and he's running it as a CEO. I'm always knowing where we are, what we're trying to do, but my biggest project right now is Zamtel.
Zamtel is
Zamtel
takes up your time.
Takes up my time.
Yes.
I can say that my brother is handling the anything outside Zamtel from the project point of view.
Right.
But what else? I think that's really what I'm doing. I think Zamtel for now is filled up my hands.
Brilliant.
My plate is full.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
As we conclude this conversation, 2 very quick fire questions.
Yeah.
And these are basically you helping out someone who, if the only thing they get to see is this final section of our conversation, a takeaway that they can use and apply to their lives. What are your top 3 tips or strategies for climbing the ladder in the community or workplace? What are your 3 top tips?
And I share this. This is a good platform so that a lot more people can hear it. But I share this with people at the office all the time.
Right.
There is nothing in the background. Always come forth. Be available. And there's always the time when the road is free, they say. No matter how jam-packed Cairo Road is, as long as you are there trying to drive out, you see sometimes how it works. It
just opens
up and you just see this one even moves away for you. You said, hey, what's going on here? But then you just take it and out.
Yes.
That's how success, or that's how going up the ladder also works. Be available,
Right.
You cannot masquerade to, and then all of a sudden you are up there. Be available and show yourself. Know your strengths and make sure you leverage those strengths.
Right.
There is nothing in the background. Just come, be available. And it goes back to what I said when I was talking about the invisible hand.
Right.
Always, always. If you're a Christian, take time to pray, to connect with the invisible. When I wish I had a board to just draw something to show you how we are a small part of a very big system.
Right.
Just the solar system alone has so many planets evolving around it
Right.
at different speeds.
Yes.
Imagine each planet has a moon rotating around it.
Exactly.
Jupiter has 12 planets rotating around it. And
Circling.
these things are not seated in one place. The sun is going around the solar system, the galaxy, the Milky Lane.
Yes.
Guess what? It takes about 250 million years for the sun to go around
The Milky Way.
the Milky Lane. So to us, the sun is seated there, but it's moving at a very high speed. And there's the power that is controlling all this. When asteroids that are falling off the stars and when a certain size is coming towards the Earth, the atmosphere turns it into
obliterates it. Yes.
But when it's big enough that the Earth can't handle it, Jupiter's gravitational pull pulls it away from the Earth. I'm sure that can't happen. Look, that's how success works too. What I'm trying to say is that if you are the sun, if you are playing the role of the sun in the whole scheme of things, the whole system around you and leave you there to provide the sunlight that we are getting right now. If you are Earth, you will have the life for the people to. So build yourself. Build yourself. The nature will take care of the rest. But remember to place you where you belong and create a path for you.
That's right.
That's my advice to the young people.
Fantastic.
Be available. Define who you are. The rest will be done by nature.
Yeah.
So this is universal to both Christians and non-Christians.
Right.
But Christians, very easy. Just say God will take care of the rest.
That's it. Final question.
Yeah.
On a philosophical note, if you had an opportunity to talk to 16-year-old Jason, what advice would you give him?
16-year-old, to talk to myself.
16-year-old.
One thing I would say for sure is that I would be very happy to listen to me today. Why I'm saying that, not because I say sensible things, just because a 16-year-old me then would have loved to talk to someone who's CEO of the company.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say to the younger ones.
Right.
Sometimes I tell my kids, so I'm replacing myself with my kids. I tell them, I'll tell you what I think. Watch me as I live. Pick the bad things from whatever I do. What is bad? Be strong enough to say, that's bad. I will never do that.
Right. Right.
Okay, that's good. I will do it double, as my father did. So that's what I would tell my 16-year-old today. A 16-year-old
self,
Jason is pay attention to what is going on around you. Be open enough to pick the good, and don't write off a human being because he did something bad.
Right.
The bad, don't learn from them. The good, learn, because older people always know something we don't know. And when I reached this point, then I know why they say respect the old.
Right.
Because as life is unfolding, the things we see, you did not see them when you are 16 years, and you thought you knew it all. So at 16, I would tell him, listen to people older than you, because there's something they know you don't know. When they say something bad, do not write off the rest.
Right.
pick the bad, throw it away, focus on the good things.
Truly, truly grateful. This has been extremely insightful, and we've learned a lot. That is simply amazing and incredible. And it's a story worth telling, and we need to tell it repeatedly. You have fully earned that meal, and I believe you're having the nkuku and avo.
Avo something.
Panini, yes. That
It's,
looks really good.
it's the avo that attracted me.
Why? Why did the avo attract you?
I'm 46 years old.
Only? You're looking good for 46.
Oh, really?
You're looking really good for 46.
So I we are now beginning to pay attention to what we are eating. So avocado has the best fat. It gives
good
you
kind of fat.
the good kind of fat.
Brilliant.
The good cholesterol, they say.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
comes from avocado. So,
Brilliant, and matched very nicely with the lean protein in chicken.
yeah.
That's a nice side salad going on. It looks quite tasty, and I think after having done so much heavy lifting in answering these tricky questions I've been putting you through, it's a well-earned meal.
Maybe I've earned myself to eat some
no,
fries
by all
as
means,
well.
you have earned the right to eat fries. You've done well on one section. The accompaniment will just take it all the way through with wonderful cocktails. Virgin, might I add, added to the mix to ensure that we wash it all down. Absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for sparing time to talk to us and give us a backdoor and backstage view of the man whom we see only standing front and center as Chief Executive Officer. Thank you for being transparent and sharing a part of who you are with us.
Thank you very much.
Truly, truly grateful.
Yeah, thank you.
And that's a wrap. We are at Ciela Resort, and we have had the privilege of talking to one of Zambia's movers and shakers, none other than Mr. Jason Mwanza, the Chief Executive Officer of Zamtel. Be sure to catch the next Nkwazi Magazine Table Talk. Signing off from Ciela Resort, I'm Kamiza Chikula.
Hello, I'm Jason Mwanza. I am CEO of Zamtel. I've just had a very nice discussion, very interesting discussion for the Nkwazi Magazine at Ciela Resort.